Welcome to a new Voltlog, fresh energy in 2022 for publishing new and interesting videos, and as usual a bunch of items are piling up in my mailbag bin, so here is your favorite, a new in the mail. Let's start with this product from SONOFF. This is a USB Zigbee adapter, which is useful if you want to add Zigbee connectivity via USB. For example, I plan to use this with my Raspberry Pi running HomeAssistant to be able to connect to a bunch of Zigbee sensors I have around the house. Zigbee for me is very convenient because it's very low power and thus can make replacing batteries on my sensors a thing I only have to worry about every few years. But depending on which Zigbee gateway you are running, things can run smooth or you can have hiccups, like it was my case with the SONOFF Zigbee to Wi-Fi bridge, which I used in bridge mode so far. I was having a bunch of connection issues, so I decided to upgrade to this Zigbee dongle. This new one, also from SONOFF, is based on a newer TI CC2652P, which is well supported by Zigbee to MQTT framework and supposedly can support a higher throughput while being more stable. And I believe I will need to open this up and flash it with a different firmware, but that's a subject for another video. Bottom line is that right now this is the most affordable, good Zigbee adapter that you can get, and if you want one, I will place a link to this in the description below. The sponsor of this video, Altium, is one of the most advanced PCB design software on the market. It has some pretty advanced features which enable collaboration among multiple team members, so there is no wonder they are a popular choice in the professional PCB design world. If you're interested in trying out Altium, check out the link I've placed in the description below to sign up for a free trial of Altium. My next item is a very interesting little Bluetooth thermometer, which I am already using for monitoring various temperatures when I am away from home. It comes in this very compact round enclosure. You can get it in packs of 2 or more units for a better price. It runs on something like a CR2032 battery inside and comes with a nice app that you can download and install on your smartphone. I am using iOS, but I assume it's exactly the same for Android. And here are a couple of screenshots from the app. You can basically get live readings for temperature and humidity by keeping the app open, or you can open the app occasionally and download the whole history from its internal memory. I'm not sure how much data it can hold. I have like 10 days of history already. Doesn't look like you can control the frequency, but I like very much how compact it is, how accurate it is, and how easy it is to set up and use with the intended app. So I can highly recommend this product if you need to do some occasional temperature and humidity data logging. My next item is somewhat related to the previous one, and this is a CC Debugger from Texas Instruments, or to be more precise, likely a clone of a CC Debugger, because I don't think there is an original in here considering the price I got it for, but nonetheless this will help me, for example, to flash a CC2531 USB dongle with the Zigbee to MQTT compatible firmware and use that with HomeAssistant. By now you've seen the first item of this mailbag, which shows a CC2652P device, so I will be using that newer chipset instead, but this CC Debugger instrument will be a nice addition to my toolbox for when I need to flash or debug some Texas Instruments CC line of products. And if you're curious, we can also take this apart to take a look inside, and maybe one of my viewers owns an original CC Debugger and we can compare. Please share more info in the comments below if you see any difference from an original CC Debugger. Next, as part of my home automation project, I was already using a pair of these Zigbee Aqara window or door magnetic Hall effect sensors, and I was very happy with the sensor. Very long battery life. It's likely not going to need replacing for at least 2 years, I estimate. It is very elegant and smaller than other sensors on the market, hence why I got another 2 to monitor some additional doors and windows around the house and create automations based on that. So if you are looking for Zigbee door/window sensors, I can highly recommend these ones from Aqara. Like I said, I've been using one for the past 6 months and I've been very happy with it. And it's not just the magnetic sensor. In general, I have other Aqara sensors in my home. I have some temperature/humidity sensors, PIR sensors, and they are all great. I highly recommend this brand for Zigbee sensors because they seem to be providing a very good quality for the price. Also intended to be used in my home automation project is this next item, which is a Zigbee relay/energy monitor for single phase AC lines. And what I basically want is a way of knowing my total energy consumption from the grid, and I want to report that either via Zigbee or Wi-Fi to my Home Assistant. And this particular unit does Zigbee communication. It's manufactured by Hiking or TomZone. Two logos here on the front. It has a small LCD display. It can do 110 to 230 volts AC up to 65 amps, so it should have a 65 amp rated relay in there. And as far as I could tell from online pictures of people that have done a teardown, it looks fairly decent and beefy. It's a bistable relay, so it would not stay energized for the whole time, and that's a nice touch. There are a couple of things that I don't like about this unit. Well, first is that it's a double MCB width unit, and I get that it needs to be this big to have the relay in there, but what I really need is just the measurement part. I don't need to do any switching, so I would have liked just a one size unit with just the measurement part and Zigbee comms, but I just couldn't find one. Maybe there is, I couldn't find it. The second thing I don't like is the way wiring was designed for this unit. You have the live input and output on the top side and the neutral input and output on the bottom side. Now my electrical panel and most others I've seen have pairs of live and neutral next to each other, either input at the top, output at the bottom, or the other way around, but generally side by side pairs. Now for me to integrate this into my electrical panel, I have to redo some of the internal wiring to have the live wire at the top and neutral at the bottom, which is going to make for a messy wiring scheme. But I guess it's something I will have to live with for the time being if I want to use this unit. There's also another inconvenience. Zigbee to MQTT doesn't appear to be supporting this particular unit yet, but I assume it's going to be supported soon as more of these will reach end users. Next up, yet another set of items used for home automation. I have a couple of Shelly Relays here, and this is a Shelly Dimmer 2, this is a Shelly 2.5, and if you're not familiar with Shelly Relays, they make these compact Wi-Fi ESP based relays that fit inside the electrical box behind your wall switch. And this makes it very convenient to control lights as well as other appliances around your house. On top of that, I have all of mine flashed with Tasmota because I like how that integrates with Home Assistant over MQTT and the additional features it offers. For example, a bunch of my automations are built right into these relays as local scripts, and so even if Home Assistant server is down, I still have my lights functioning as usual from the light switches. I have about 10 of these scattered around my apartment, and I know you guys asked for this in the comments. I should really do a video on how my setup looks like. Next up, these are air filters for the Shunzao/Xiaomi vacuum cleaner, which I showed getting recently. I have two of those vacuums, one in the lab and one at home, and I figured I would get some spare filters to keep them around for when the original filters will need replacement. And this is a super nice vacuum cleaner. In fact, let me grab it, I have it right here. So like I was saying, this is a super nice vacuum cleaner, nice design, nice build quality, good suction, I love it. So if you're in the market for a small handheld vacuum, you should definitely consider this guy. I will link on screen the video where I first showed this. There should be a coupon code mentioned in the description below. Not sure if it's still valid, but it's worth a try. Next up, I've got quite a wide selection of cables to show you in this mailbag, and let's start with this, which is a 10-core 26 AWG UL2464 cable. And I'm working on a project for a customer of mine where I need to run a multi-way wire between two boards, low power and low speed signals. So I got a roll of this to run some tests. Next up, I got more of the 2-core shielded 28 AWG wire. This is the one that I use for my 4-wire Kelvin adapter for the LCR meter, and this is something I sell on my Tindie store. This is an option you can choose when ordering the adapter, and it makes it convenient for people to order it and get it delivered fast together with their Kelvin PCB adapter. Next, this is one of those USB switchable cables, which can be extremely useful when you have a particular device that needs frequent connect-disconnect sequences for programming. It can help especially in situations where you have to hold a small button before plugging in a dongle to enter bootloader mode. For example, you can have the device already plugged in, hold the button and just press this button on the USB cable with your other hand and it's done. So it's a nice tool to keep around your workbench. However, I think manufacturers should design better boards that feature auto reset or auto bootloader functionality. For example, my Voltlog USB to serial adapter for programming ESP32 and ESP8266 boards has auto reset functionality built in, so it will automatically reset your board and put it into bootloader mode for flashing. And by the way, this is revision C, the latest version, which I'm currently selling on my Tindie store. I should do a video on this soon because I have optimized the design for manufacturing. Next up, I have this very interesting magnetic USB charging cable with the mating receptacle, so you can effectively build this into your own project or product. And this model does just power, 5 volts and ground. But there are models that also do data connection, and I'm going to show one of those soon. I'm actually impressed with how powerful these magnets are because it can pull this little connector from like an inch away, and that's very nice. And you can get this in the 90-degree orientation like I have here, or in a straight connection. Multiple variants available. Just check out the links I've placed in the description below the video. And I've also ordered this model, which is also magnetic and has 5 total connections, 4 on the pogo pins and shield on the outer ring, which I assume is conductive. And a couple of notes here. These look like they're designed to be molded inside connectors. And second, I don't like how this model mates. There is no automatic alignment in the magnets themselves. They have these plastic guide pins, but still you could get outer shield and at least one of the pogo pins to touch in the wrong orientation. So if you're using these, the end device needs to be smart and only enable power after correct mating of the connector. And the last item in the cabling category is this short 25 centimeters USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable. I'm gonna be using this to power a Raspberry Pi, which sits right next to the power adapter. And I think I'm actually gonna order a second one of these because it feels quite decent and it was rather inexpensive. Next up, I have a set of these small 5 by 7 centimeters ESD dissipative Ziploc bags, because now I'm selling a bunch of boards on Tindie and I will typically pack and ship them in one of these small dissipative bags for protection during shipping. These not only help by being ESD dissipative with regards to static electricity, but they also help as general dust and moisture protection in shipping, and they are fairly inexpensive when you get them from AliExpress. Same as always, a link for these will be provided in the description below. Next up, I got a set of these very small clear bumper fit thingies. Yeah, they say 3M on the back, but you know, it's 3M China variant when getting them from AliExpress, but still good enough for the purpose that I use them. You can place these on small PCBs as bumper feet. I've also used them as dampers for drawers to prevent them from sliding right into the frame when closing. So multiple uses for these. Next up, I got a set of Fresnel lenses, because what kind of engineer are you if you don't have some spare Fresnel lenses in your stash? But joking aside, I also bought a massive amount of different PIR sensor modules, all from Asian manufacturers, all rather affordable but with slightly different specs. And the plan is to evaluate those and select 1 or 2 models to use on future Voltlog projects that involve PIR motion sensing and reporting that either via Wi-Fi or Zigbee to HomeAssistant. And since this video is getting a bit long already, here is the last item in today's mailbag. This is an SK6812 RGBWW LED tape, and I have a 5-meter long strip here. This is 5-volt digitally addressable, and the white is actually warm white in this package. The plan is to use these as part of some ambient lighting that I'm designing into my apartment. I'm also working on the controller for these LED tapes, so I should be able to share more details on that project in a couple of weeks. It's going to be packed with features, but mostly targeted at low power stuff, so being able to drive 2-3 meters of tape at most from a single controller, or the equivalent of 2 to 3 amps maximum. These LED tapes can also be ordered with a cold white or neutral white, but in my ambient lighting I don't really see the purpose of those, as warm white is my preferred choice of color. And even if I wanted to get a little bit more cold output from these, I could mix with the blue in these from the software and I could get a more cold output from the same tape. Same as always, links for all of the products shown in this video will be placed in the description below, so do check them out. That was all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget you can support the channel on Patreon with as little as $1 per month, or you can simply hit that like button, which is free and helps the channel a lot. I'll be seeing you next week.